What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I posted a video last week, an immediate reaction about the news that Amazon is taking full creative control of James Bond. And while my thoughts necessarily may not have changed in that regard, since that was a hasty video, I wanted to bring on another guest to express his opinion, who's also a giant Bond fan. You've seen him on some videos on this channel as well, and it's great to have him back. It's been a long time. Alex Figueroa from Geeks and Flix, Levels of Geeks. What's going on, man?
Yeah, no, I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty well. This is a very interesting
It's gonna be
topic to talk about.
it's gonna be an interesting one, right?
Yeah.
What were your initial thoughts when you heard the news about this?
Once I heard the news drop, I
Mm,
went literally. I went. This is the end of Bond.
yeah, I think I
Pretty
did
much.
that. I think almost everybody did.
Yeah. That's the first thing that popped into my head. I was like, okay, so we're gonna have No Time to Die is the final film that we're gonna have in the cinematic world
Yeah,
for 007 at this case. And I'm kind of sad because I was literally looking forward to what is the new generation of Bond we're gonna get in the theater, and now finding out Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli backed out and said, "Okay, you do what you got to do. We're gonna
yeah,
focus on other projects." I was just like, "Okay, I have to check out," but
yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about it?
I mean, like I said, I posted that video in like haste. Like I was pretty like upset about it, which I think everybody was. I think I kind of had like the same reaction that you had, but I don't know. I've given it a couple days since it broke. I don't necessarily think I feel any different, honestly.
No,
I haven't seen anybody say anything positive aside from like a couple of YouTubers in the Bond space on YouTube, like Calvin Dyson, Joe Darlington, I think David Zaritsky as well. Like, I think those are the only ones that are somewhat positive about this whole thing. Um, it's gonna be, it's gonna be weird for sure not having Eon there and Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson, which I kind of knew Michael G. Wilson wasn't gonna be involved going forward because he's like in his 80s. He's ready to retire. Like give the
yeah.
give the man his retirement. But yeah, no. Barbara Broccoli essentially, I don't necessarily want to say she bowed down, but I mean it was definitely a shock. And I don't know. There's just so many where that video was filmed in haste and anger. There's just so many other things that I'm thinking about too. Like I feel like it's probably going to be my same reaction I had in that video, but at the same time I'm curious and a little interested to see what they're going to do with it, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, in terms of any project or any film or anything that we enjoy watching on screen, you always got to do the what if. Like, let's see
Yeah.
what happens with when they take the helm and see what happens.
Yeah.
My only thing is with Barbara Broccoli is that I personally feel like they pushed her out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. I don't know if you saw any of the articles that came out like a couple days ago. Like they're still coming out
Yeah,
about it. Like the casting director Debbie Williams is like, nope, they're gonna fuck it all over. But they
yeah,
essentially like, I mean, they weren't seeing eye to eye. There was that whole article in the Wall Street Journal back, I think it was either November or December, where she was calling Amazon fucking idiots. They were having a meeting, and one of the Amazon executives said that James Bond isn't a hero, and the room went silent or something. Like they've been at odds for a while, and it just got to the point
yeah.
where I think they paid her $1 billion to just essentially go away. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you wouldn't reject that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand that, but like my thing is like I mean, I also read an article that they were like when they came up with the idea of like, oh, Amazon was like Bonds could be a TV show or
Oh
whatever,
yeah, no.
and the Wilson and Barbara Broccoli was like, hell, fucking no, I'm not. They said
Yeah,
no to the idea, and then
yeah,
all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're stepping back and let Amazon do whatever they want with the character, and I was like, wait a minute,
yeah. I
totally they paid them to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
you do what you got to do. We got the rights now
yeah.
and it's like, forget the loophole. My problem with is 007 as it could work as a TV show. Yes,
Mhm,
it could work if they
mhm,
have the right writers, the right actors, the right whatever. It
yeah,
could work. But the problem is that everyone knows 007 as a cinematic getaway. Like we know him from the TV, I mean from the movies, like in the
right,
world of
right,
the theatrical releases.
right.
My thing is I don't want to see a Q TV show. Like, can I
You
begin?
don't want to
No.
see Office Mysteries with Miss Moneypenny.
Yes. Like, I don't want to see
Exactly.
stuff like that. I don't want to see
Exactly.
a Blofeld TV show. Like, why would I want to see none of these things? Like, this is stupid. Like, and my idea
Exactly.
is like, if you're gonna do a TV route, and let's say they decide to do a 007 TV show, which I can't lie. I'm not gonna lie here and go, oh, I'm angry because Amazon Prime has some really good ones. Jack Ryan is an amazing
Yeah.
TV show.
I've heard Jack Ryan and Jack Reacher.
Oh, Jack Reacher is amazing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, 007 could work if it goes down this line. If you're going to do whatever you want to do with the character, it could work. But it
Yeah.
all comes down to the face of Bond. It's like, are
Right.
you going to go with an A-list actor? Are you going to go with a B-list actor or an unknown actor? And you're going to get hit with all the shits from everywhere if it's
Yeah.
an actor that no one wanted, right? Now everyone wants Henry Cavill. And I'm like, okay, I could see Henry Cavill. I saw the audition tapes and I was like, wow, he actually was a pretty good Bond even in the audition. But the problem with the audition tape, it was GoldenEye. So the minute he was doing the audition, I was thinking of Pierce Bronson. I'm like, yo, Pierce Bronson did the best. I'm thinking of the scene of him, in the casino, because that's the scene that he did when he met Jenna, whatever her name is, the Russian chick. So I'm
Top.
like, yeah, Anatol. So I'm like, I'm watching Pierce Bronson and her acting the scenes when he's doing it. And I was like, it didn't work. Like, I thought they were gonna do like a scene from the movie, like Casino Royale with Daniel Craig, and I would have said, okay.
Yeah.
But that was kind of hard for me.
Yeah.
But the way he did it, I was like, yo, I could totally see him.
Yeah.
He was way too young. Way too
for
young.
sure. For sure. He was only like 20 something when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna do James Bond Jr., he was the best. That age would have been dope if you're gonna do James Bond Jr. I mean, if anyone remembers that was the cartoon in the 80s.
Yep. Dude, I told myself I'm gonna go watch that now.
Yeah, that cartoon was dope. By the way, the cartoon was dope. But if they would have did
grandson IQ,
yeah, that was what I'm saying. Like, if they would have did that with Henry Cavill, I would have been like, hell's yeah, it would have worked. But Henry Cavill's now seasoned actor. He's older. He's more ripped. He did Mission Impossible, so he knows the grind of an action movie. Right. So for me, can it work as Henry Cavill? Sure, I'm okay. I'll take the bullet. Fine, yes. But it all comes down to story. Like, what story is I gonna do? And
that's kind of what gets me a little bit interested. I'll come back to the Henry Cavill thing in a minute, but that's what kind of gets me interested because I guess, but also at the same time, super cautious because I mean now because with EON and Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson, they always stuck to Fleming or came up with original ideas. They didn't go beyond the Fleming books. There's been continuation novels from Jeffrey Deaver, Anthony Horowitz, Raymond Benson. Now that's all on the table. Like, you can adapt those. Yep. So that's kind of what's curious to me. Like, are they going to adapt Colonel Sun? Are they going to adapt Forever in a Day? Are they going to turn those into movies? That's what really gets me curious. And that's what really kind of gets me interested in this whole Amazon takes over the creative thing. But like what you were saying, like, I don't need a young Q TV show. I don't need a Blofeld TV show. I don't need a Spectre Origins show because we all know that that's what they're going to get. I would like, here's the thing. I disagree with you. I think are you insinuating that that James Bond's not going to be theatrically released and just going to be on streaming? Is that your understanding?
My thought and my theory is whatever they're going to do, it's going to do like Apple. That's going to be released for a little bit here, and then it's going to be on Amazon Prime, so they could promote their streaming service and all that. Because, like, even with Napoleon, right? Because that was an Apple TV thing,
right?
That was only in the theater for a few months, and they went right into Apple TV.
I'm fine. I'm fine with it if you give it like a few month rollout, like a regular like theatrical rollout. Yeah. But if it's only, it's like, oh, catch this Bond movie in theaters for only a week, like then no, then I have a problem with that.
And then you got to think about budget too. Like, now that this is handled by, are we going to look at another $250 million Bond movie?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it is. No, of course
no.
not.
I think here's the thing. Here's how I think that. I think they're going to start really low and then work their way up, kind of like EON was. Because when you look at the budget for Casino Royale, I think was only like 100 to 150 million, and then you get to No Time to Die, and it's still like 250, 300 million.
Right.
The thing is, though, like if you're gonna adapt some of those books, like I guess so. I see where you're coming from with that question that I was asking you because I was saying like I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna keep the Bond movies theatrical, but then if there's like a cool like double O agent or like a cool like female agent in it, they'll give the female agent or the double O agent like the spin-off series
Yeah,
on
I can see
Amazon
that.
Prime or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I would be okay with, but don't give me like season 2 of 007 Road to a Million or some shit.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. See,
Yeah.
my thing is you could make stuff work if you have a plan.
Right.
If Amazon has a plan, I'm board. Like again, I'm not
Right.
gonna jump ship just yet until I see the
Right.
product, and
I
then
think
I'll
yeah,
decide. Then
exactly.
I'll decide like, okay, I'm not watching this shit no more.
Yeah.
But if it works, I'll be like, you know what, I'm on board
Right.
because we see, I mean we've seen some 20 something odd movies that some of them did not work at all. They were
Right.
just they were horrible. Some of them was really bad. Some of them it is what it is. But
Exactly.
there was some that was legendary,
Yeah.
like great films. Even the ones that were bad was still memorable. You're like, oh, okay, great.
And when you take into account the bad ones with Eon Productions,
Yeah.
this is kind of going to segue into the next topic. Like even if they didn't make the greatest decisions, like Inspector making Bond and Blofeld Foster brothers, or killing
Oh
Bond
yeah.
at the end of No Time to Die, whatever it may be, like
Yeah.
there was like they were still thinking about what was best for the movie. They were still trying to put out the best product forward, even if the writing decisions weren't necessarily the greatest. They put in
Right.
all the hard work with the production. They put in all the hard work with the special effects. They put in all the hard work with the action, the stunts, filming on location, building giant sets on sound stages where like that Cuba sequence in No Time to Die with Ana de
Mhm.
Armas. I would never believe that that was a soundstage if I hadn't known that before. Like I would
Right.
believe that they were filming that on location. I think all that's gone, unfortunately. So
Maybe or maybe not, because I don't know. We really don't know what the deal does. That come with Pinewood Studios, where they film most of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, does it?
the thing is though is I don't know if they would film at Pinewood because Amazon has their own soundstage. I guess.
Oh, well, I know they're building one here in Jersey.
Oh
A
yeah, they're
huge one. So
Pinewood because there's one in Atlanta too, right?
yeah, they have one in Atlanta, and then here in Jersey, where I live, like a few is going to be. I don't know if in Jersey or in Brooklyn, but they brought the entire lot, and they're building a
Oh,
movie
nice.
Hollywood thing. So I
Nice.
don't know if that falls under there, but it would be kind of stupid to do a 007, whether it's TV show or movie. You're not doing it in the legendary where they filmed all the Bond movies.
See that's
It's just
my
like,
worry. That's my worry though. Like
yeah,
obviously, like I think all that stuff's gone. All the returning cast and crew that worked so hard on those movies, no matter the quality
oh
of those
yeah, I don't
movies, like
think
they're all gone. Like Neil
yeah,
Purvis, Robert Wade aren't coming back to write, which I think people wanted them out anyways. But they know Bond. That's the thing. Like
yeah.
they're not coming back. Daniel Kleinman's not coming back to do the title sequence. They're gonna have like Kendrick Lamar or like Jay-Z do the title song or some shit like that because they want to appeal to modern audiences and who knows, are we even gonna get like all the
Mm.
classic James Bond tropes? Like they have full creative control. Their whole goal here is to appeal to modern audiences. Are we still gonna get the gun barrel? Are we still gonna get the pre-title sequence? Are we still gonna get the title sequence? Like all like Shaken Not Stirred, the Aston Martin, the Walther PPK, all that stuff that doesn't necessarily, I don't want to say necessarily defines the character, but they're traits that you can pick up as a viewer. It's like that's James Bond.
Well, it is his trait though.
Yeah.
I mean, you never seen Bond drive, whether any car you look at, Bond drives a BMW and Aston Martin.
Yeah.
That's all you known him for. You never seen him drive a Cadillac. You never seen him drive. He did drive a Ford Fusion in Casino Royale when he went to the Bahamas, I think it was, in that sequence. It was a Ford Fusion, but it was a paid product for them to put Bond in the car.
Exactly.
But other than that, it's a Ford Mustang in the Roger Moore movies. So at the end of the day, yes, the cars do matter because if you see an Aston Martin DB5, you already know that's from Goldfinger, GoldenEye. You can name the damn movies. They have to include those.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't know what Amazon is. I don't know what their plans are for this guy because I don't want it to be like a Disney Star Wars because Disney destroyed Star Wars as is when. I mean, that's another topic for another day.
Right.
But if you look at George Lucas's Star Wars to the point of sale, everything just became wonky. You really don't know. They changed history.
I will give here's kind of why I'm thinking they're gonna keep all the Bond like the pre-title sequence, gun barrel, all that stuff. Because when Disney did acquire Star Wars, like when they were making The Force Awakens, they didn't label it as Episode 7. They just called it Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which worried everybody. But they still had the opening crawl. They still had the scene transition wipes. They still had like the classic John Williams scores and themes. So I was like, okay, like at least there's like some comfort there. So if I walk into the theater and I see the gun barrel, I might be like, all right, like maybe Amazon has a hold of this, but I think what they have to do, they have to get somebody in charge like Barbara Broccoli or Michael G. Wilson.
Well, see, my thing is if they wrote them out, if they paid them out, is because they don't want their inputs. They want
exactly.
some fresh.
Exactly.
And I guess they look. And again, maybe they look numbered wise of their tenure that when they took it and was like, well, did Bond become more successful with them in the helm? Again, it could happen because everything's by numbers now. Business is business. So they must have looked at all the films that they did together and was like, did these movies work? Right? Spectre was a garbage. Not Spectre. Quantum of Solace was horrible. Right?
Yeah.
We all agree on that one.
Yeah.
And that was $200+ million to make. Right?
Yeah.
And they did some wonky decisions there. Then Spectre, which is a hit or miss because they went from a serious, then it started to go blend to a little bit of the
starting
original.
to blend into the campy stuff. Yeah.
Yes. So then you're like, wait a minute. So if Barbara Broccoli is knows all this stuff about 007, why did it go from Casino Royale, which it felt totally different from the entire series, to now starting to blend into what made it people not want to, they didn't like about Bond. Then now they're starting to do it. Then Skyfall came out, which to me is the best Bond movie.
Oh, yeah, me too. Easily.
It blended the campiness, but it made it its own campiness, right? If you look at it. But it was its own movie. It felt like Casino Royale, and then it goes right into Skyfall. You're like, wow, it's just seamless, right? Then it goes to No Time to Die, which I was like, what? It went from a 360, same director, right? Sam Mendes, was it the same director? I think it was the same director.
It was Spectre was the same director as Skyfall.
Spectre was the same director. So who directed the last one?
Cary Fukunaga.
Yes, that guy, right? So they bring in another director, not the guy. They didn't try to talk the guy who made them billions of dollars with the last two films, right? My problem was with No Time to Die. Then it just went, okay, we're going to kill him off, knowing that the fans are all going to revolt because a lot of people wanted him to, at least if he's going to go on a blaze of glory, he literally stood there to watch missiles crash. Like, I literally wanted to walk out. I literally wanted to walk out because I kind of knew this was going to happen.
I think we all did, though.
Yeah, we all talked about it. I think me and you talked about it. We were like, he's gonna die in this last one. Like, it was obvious.
I think it kind of has more meaning now, though, with this whole thing. I think that everybody gives Daniel Craig a lot of flack because that was like his idea, and sure it was, but Barbara Broccoli is obviously the one that agreed to that. But I think it was by design now because I do think after that, like she did want to leave. I don't think she wanted to necessarily leave Bond for good, but I just think she wanted to, before we got into the next era, whoever she was going to cast or whatever direction they were going to go, she just needed a break, I think. Because she wanted to make Othello. She wanted to make the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang remake that her father made under the EON Productions label. So it's like, I think she just needed a break. I do think part of it is that she did fall too much in love with Daniel Craig and for a while just couldn't grasp with the fact that he was actually done and she had to cast somebody new. But honestly, despite all of her missteps, like, I trust her out of anybody to cast correctly. Coming back to the Henry Cavill thing, I would be on board with Henry Cavill if this was like maybe 10 years ago. I think he's too big of a name now. I think the allure and the charm of what makes Bond so good is the fact that you don't have an A-list actor playing Bond. You don't have a B-list actor playing Bond. It's either or I shouldn't say B-list actor, but you have somebody who's known but not super well known. Like Pierce Brosnan was known because of Remington Steele, but he wasn't a star. Bond turned him into a star. Roger Moore had The Saint. He wasn't a star because of The Saint. He was a star because Bond turned him into Bond, but people knew him from The Saint. It's like, so like, that's kind of what I'm worried about with Amazon, because Amazon wants to cast like a A-list actor, and I know they're going to cast Tom Holland or Chris Pratt or somebody. Because Tom Holland wants to do his young Bond movie, and they're going to be like, sure, go ahead, But see, that's what I'm worried about. I think Bond works better if you have somebody who's not as well known, or somebody who's like been in the mainstream that we know of but isn't huge. Like
Yeah.
Aaron Taylor Johnson's name has been thrown around. I'm actually on that Aaron Taylor Johnson train. I think he could be a good, but like I get he's in Craven the Hunter, but that sucked. I get he's in Bullet
Yeah.
Train. I get he's in he was in Tenet. What else? What the hell? Kick-Ass.
Godzilla.
Yeah, Godzilla, Kick Ass. But like he's
Yeah.
Age of Ultron. But like
Yeah.
he's not like a household name still though, even though he's been like in the mainstream a lot. Like you need somebody like that, and that's what I'm worried Amazon's gonna do. That's why like I have nothing against Henry Cavill. I think he would actually be a really good Bond if this was 10 years ago, though. Like, if he wasn't so in the mainstream now, then
Well,
say, I would
but
say
he's
that.
not a big name though.
That's true. That is,
Because if you look at it, the only reason he's mainstream is because he was Superman,
that's true.
right? Like he has
Yeah.
Superman in his title
And The Witcher, yeah.
and The Witcher, right? Like that's
Yeah.
a TV show Witcher, which I think he was fantastic as because I like that show.
Yeah,
But now,
I do. Yeah, I know. It's
But
going to suck.
yeah, horrible. But the thing is like, yeah, he knows. And the thing is like, okay, but I agree with you. Yeah, go with some character like that. Henry
Yeah.
Cavill, I think, will be the perfect one.
Yeah.
As from right now, like if you give me a list of people, maybe I'll be like, all right, fine. But as of right now, for me, I think he fits. He's at the age of Daniel Craig when he was in Casino Royale, around there.
Yeah.
He could fight, he could do all his stunts. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's cool. My only problem is the females. What are they gonna do with the females? Because with Bond movies, it's always a hot chick that is the age, like of the gender, right? Of the
Yeah.
genre. Like we had Madonna's in Die Another Day. We had Dana Del Armas or whatever her name is when
Yep.
she came out she was like another agent from Cuba.
Yeah.
My thing is like, what are they gonna do with that? Or is it gonna be B-list actresses? Or is it gonna be you're gonna pay big money to get someone in, that's a Hollywood actress to play something?
I think it would be a mix of both. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at Ana de Armas, everybody knew who Ana de Armas was
Yeah.
when she was cast as Paloma. And, I mean, the 5 minutes of screen time that she has, she kicked ass. So everybody... See, like that. Like, if they want to do a Paloma spinoff, I'd be, like, on Amazon Prime, a TV show, I'd be down for that. I'd be like, bring Ana de Armas back as Paloma. I mean...
You do, but then you're going to want 007 to be on the show. And that's my only thing.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, everyone's like, oh, my God, I love John Wick. I have all the John Wick stuff in my room here.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, you're a massive John Wick.
I'm a big John Wick fan. And everyone's like, oh, what do you think of Ballerina? It's going to be amazing. I'm like, no. Because the minute you do a spinoff like that, the first thing you're going to do is, where is John Wick in this world? And guess what? The trailer showed John Wick. Which I'm like, you didn't need to show John Wick in the trailer, but they did it because they knew people were not going to go to the theater.
Exactly, because nobody would know what it was.
Exactly.
Did you watch that Continental TV show?
I did, but I didn't like it. I was just like,
was he even in that?
Weird. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it wasn't even about that. It was just like the stories didn't make sense at all.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard the writing was awful.
Yeah, you had Winston, I mean, off topic, but they had Winston's brother or whoever the hell it was, looking like John Wick. He was fighting like John Wick, moving like John Wick. He had a baby before he died. And I was like, is that John Wick? No, it's not. It's not him. Because then we knew from the movies he was Russian. You remember he was an orphan from Russia. So I was like, okay, but I was like, this makes no sense. It's like they throw hints of these characters to look like John Wick, and it's like, he's not John Wick's dad. You don't know John Wick's dad.
Right.
But again, that's what I feel with these 007 movies. I mean, TV show, if they decide to do spinoffs, it's like you gotta have. No, you don't have to, but the problem is you're gonna have to because you put yourself in the corner.
Especially if it's bad. This is how Amazon operates. I don't know if you watch Rings of Power, but I'm not a big fan.
No, I did not even try.
Yeah, I'm not. I saw the first 2 episodes. I was like, I'm bored. I'm tapping out. I know who this stranger guy is. It's obviously Gandalf, and it took them 2.5 seasons to explain that it's Gandalf. I knew that right away, but I was bored shitless. So I was like, all right, like. I feel like Amazon would do something like that where they're gonna screw up Bond and be like, oh, like front office desk mysteries with Moneypenny, but hey, you want Bond? Wink, wink. Here's a brief cameo of him at the finale. That's gonna. Yeah. And the other problem is it's how many Bond movies are they going to release a year? How many TV shows are they going to release a year? That's why I'm saying you really need somebody like Barbara Broccoli or Michael G. Wilson to hold this thing in check. If you can get somebody who knows Bond as well as they do, which I don't think you can, if you can get If you can get somebody to hold it in check and be like, no, okay, we can adapt the books beyond Ian Fleming. That's fine because I do think that there are some good stories. I've heard that there's some mixed
Yeah.
books there, but some of them I've heard are really good, and I'd be really interested in seeing what they would adapt beyond the Ian Fleming books. That's really all I want out of this. I don't care about the TV shows and all that. Like, you need somebody to hold that in check. You need somebody that's going to say, no, we're only going to do one Bond movie every
2 years.
Say,
Yeah.
three. I don't 3 years because they take they
Yeah,
take.
that's true.
We need to make it the same way with the same love, passion, and care that Eon Productions and Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson did, despite whatever writing deficiencies the movies may have. Like all the love and care and time was put into those. You got to have practical stunts, no minimal CGI. You only use it when necessary. Visual effects work has got to be as practical as well, like film on location. Make it a globe-trotting adventure. Make it in the vein of Bond. You can switch around the character a little bit, like maybe explore parts of his past that we haven't seen, but don't go like full-blown like Bond in the British Royal Navy. I don't want to see that either because that's boring.
See, I agree with you, and I think that's where the TV show falls in.
Yeah.
And this is what I would say. In terms of that, like if I helmed, right? If they say, Alex, you're helming Amazon Prime and you're going to be the head guy, what is your ideas? This is what I would say. Let's do a 1 season, 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Right? See how it works. We start off at Skyfall, the mansion with his dad, right? You do like a flashback where you see his dad or whatever. You show him young. Then throughout, you see him older or whatever, fighting his, like a few episodes of him learning his traits and, fencing and whatever. You can see whatever he gets his quirkiness from. You see all that, right? Yeah. Then let's say it's successful. 10 episodes in, you're like, wow, Bond is dope. And they say Bond is back, right? For another season 2. 2 years, right? Let's say we'll give it a second, like 2 year, whatever. Let's say they're successful for 3 seasons. Then you introduce a Bond movie because now you got the 3 seasons of full story arcs. How he met Moneypenny, right? Like whatever he introduced Moneypenny, they interact. He finds out Q and him hate each other, but you could do some funny stuff with that, right? Then you could do M. What M really thinks of Bond and behind the scenes or whatever. Well, looking, throwing through his files, he doesn't have his license to kill yet.
Right.
And that's how you introduce the first movie as Casino Royale when he gives him his license to kill. His first mission and him using gadgets for the first time, and it fucks up during the gadgets. Because every time he has a gadget, it always works perfect. I'm like, dude, his car is perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so like you could do missions where Q screws up his thing and they have a bittering. Like, bro, I'm in a mission and your thing didn't work. So you could do something fun, but in the first movie, you give it the cinematic treatment now.
Yeah.
But it's a tie-in. And that's why I always love the X-Files. X-Files did season 1 through 5, and then it went right to the box office with X-Files Fight the Future. And it tied into the series. And then season 6 was the movie because the ending of the movie opened up season 6 and on they went.
Okay.
That's what they need to do with 007 if you want it to be a global thing. But my problem is if it's Henry Cavill, you're not getting him for all those seasons because, again, he's a big movie guy.
Yeah.
So this is where I agree with you. You need a no-name guy, and then that will open up the doors to have everyone. If you want to have Naomi Harris play the character when he's an adult, have fun because we already know her as Moneypenny.
Exactly.
Or Q. Q is still a young guy. He does TV shows. So it's like, I bet he doesn't care.
I don't think Ben Wishaw's coming back, though.
I don't think so, but I'm just saying, like, he does TV British shows. So, like, if they decide to go, he's still young. It's not like he's old, but I think they will go younger. But my idea is do 3 seasons, full movie, another 3 seasons, full movie, like whatever you want to do. Then you can introduce whatever spin-off. Like, I would love to see a spin-off for 006 or what was Alec from GoldenEye?
That was 006, yeah.
Yeah, 006. If you could do a TV series of 006 and it starts off with him and Bond in a mission together, and he goes, we're going that way, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, they split, and that's the last time you see 007
for England, James.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they do, you use some lines from the movie that everyone knows. Like, they could split. I'll meet you at whatever. We'll have a pint, whatever. And he goes, all right, for England, and off he goes. That's it. That's the last time you see 007. And I'm cool with that. I'll be like, yeah, and that's pretty cool. And then at the season finale, Bond shows up. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he helps them. But the first 30 minutes could be them together in a mission,
Yeah,
and
that
then
could
they
work.
break up and that's it.
Yeah.
But I think 006 would be if you ask me, I think 006 would be dope because you're not focusing on that. And you can see him even turning bad if you want to do Alec.
Yeah, you really
You
could,
know,
like, see what, like, makes him tick. Well, I mean, you
yeah.
find out in GoldenEye a little bit, but
But you could tie it to GoldenEye. You could do something
yeah.
smart that it ties to that. Like it's them younger, because remember he said that they shared everything together. So
Yeah.
you could see that portray in a one season off. One season, that's it. And the ending of the finale leads into GoldenEye. Like them
Yeah.
older. And that's it. And you go, oh shit, like that is pretty cool.
That
Like
see
that mission, like you could, I'm sorry, that brief mission of them going to that Russian base,
yeah.
you can see them planning for that, and he goes, "All right, well, I'll meet you there, whatever." And then it leads into the movie.
See,
I'll
I
be like,
wouldn't
"That's
I
dope."
honestly I don't think I would mind something like that. So
Yeah,
I agree with you to an extent. I think where I disagree would be, like, the 3 seasons and then a Bond movie, that's cool,
mm.
but then I don't want that Bond movie to lead into another 3 seasons. Like, that's kinda what I'm
No,
worried it's gonna
no,
happen. Like, I feel like
that's
they're just
true.
gonna I feel like they're just gonna MCU it. Like, it's gonna be like,
Mm.
"Oh, you're gonna have to watch the Q show. You're gonna have to watch the Spectre show. You're gonna have to watch the Blofeld show to understand what's going on in Bond." And we have this whole giant plan for Bond, like this 5-film arc that is actually planned out, even though they didn't plan out the Daniel Craig ones, and it was a 5-film arc,
Yeah,
like, but see, that was the thing. Eon was never thinking big picture. They always took one movie at a time, which is what
right.
I think Amazon has to do. Like, I don't want to see deep fakes of Sean Connery coming back. I don't want to see deep fakes of Roger Moore. Like, I don't want to see an Avengers Endgame portal scene with all the Bonds coming out. I know it's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. I don't want, like, I've always said this anyways when No Time to Die ended. I said you have to make the next era of Bond as different from Daniel Craig as possible as anyways. Like, bring back just those standalone movies. Like, bring back a lot of the camp. Like, kind of
Yeah.
do a blend of Craig and Brosnan, honestly, because Brosnan was kind of campy when you think
Oh, he
about
was very campy.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
very.
you could do a blend of it anyway, because they started doing a blend of it with Craig and Spectre and No Time to Die anyways. Like, I mean, there's a fucking bionic eye in No Time to Die. Like, they were going that way anyways. So
Yeah.
you can do a blend of that, and I think that's maybe where Barbara Broccoli got a little tripped up on, because I think she just wanted to keep it the same. She wanted to she wanted to keep it like the serious tone. Like, I like Daniel Craig a lot. I like the era a lot. I like 4 of the 5 movies, but I think we just needed a break from dreary Bond and bring back fun Bond. And I think the way to do that was, okay, make them stand alone again. Don't do serialized storytelling. Don't do like a 5-film or 6-film arc, however many the actor is signed up to do, or however many you want him to do. Just make fun Bond movies for this era. And then, like, if a couple of actors down the road, if you want to go back to, like, giving Bond like a 5-film arc or something, then go ahead and do it. But that's what I always thought, that Barbara Broccoli, or maybe not her going down that road, but that's how I always thought I envisioned the next era of 007, or at least the next couple of actors doing it. But now Amazon's just going to be like, throw everything at the kitchen sink. They're just going to be like, campy, serious, whatever. Like, they're not going to do standalone movies anymore. And my question for you is, we got like 5 minutes before
Mhm.
I gotta send another link because of the 40-minute time limit thing. I hate it.
All
But
right.
my question for you is actually 2 questions. Are you going to consider the next Bond movie Bond 26 or Bond 1? And do you
Ooh,
think
that's
they'll
a good one.
remake, yeah, or do you think they'll remake the old 60s movies? Which I
If
hope they
they
do.
if they remake the old 60 movies, I'm checking out.
Yeah, I don't want them.
Because I hate remakes as a whole in
Yeah.
general. I'm not a
Yeah.
big fan of remakes. So
Yeah.
for them to go back to redo those, it's really stupid. Those are
Yeah.
their
Exa-
those are those
it's
history.
kind of like, if you do that, like, it's like, oh, we're gonna make From Russia with Love, but in modern, which
Yeah.
I don't think you could do anyways with the whole Russia thing in the world. But, like,
No.
they're like, we're gonna remake Goldfinger for modern audiences. I'd be like, fuck you, get out of here. Like, I'm not watching this shit anymore. Like,
Yeah.
like,
I'm not on board.
I don't want them to remake them. And if they remake them, they're gonna update them into the modern setting. They're not gonna keep them set in the 60s. And I don't
Yeah.
want that at all. I
Yeah,
don't.
and our society is different from that society where Bond was
Exactly.
like pretty much raping women. Like he literally threw himself
Oh,
on all the
the
women.
dude, the way
So
Roger Moore Bond treated woman, holy shit!
so like for me, I wouldn't be happy with a remake of the originals.
No, I would
Now,
not either. I think that's lazy.
yeah, in terms of going forward in movies, I really don't know what I because they pretty much did everything. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know what else you could do with Bond because they literally did it. They went back to the gritty Bond with the Casino Royale Daniel Craig. Then
yeah,
you had the semi campy, semi fun stories with Pierce Bronson. Then they went a little bit darker tone with the Timothy Daltons, right?
yeah.
He went a little bit dark.
It's weird because it's like you have the rugged toughness of Sean Connery and
Yes.
Lazenby. I'm gonna lump him and Lazenby together because
Yep.
Lazenby only did one. And then it's like, okay, so what's the polar opposite of Sean Connery? Oh, Roger Moore, who's a bunch of camp and fun and really silly humor.
Yeah.
And then what's the polar opposite of Roger Moore? It's like see, that's why I was saying like no matter what direction they were gonna take it after Daniel Craig, it's like that's why I thought it should have been either back to the campy stuff or a mix of both, like the gritty and the campy.
They need to do a mix of Pierce Bronson
Yeah,
charm. Hear
yeah,
me out on this. Pierce Brosnan's charm with Daniel Craig's grit.
yeah.
See, what
I'd be
makes
fine
Pierce
with that.
Bronson,
I'd be
yeah, because
fine with that.
yeah, what makes Pierce Bronson, the guy is not even fit, but my man is 6'3" as fuck, and he knows it.
There's never a scratch on that guy.
Exactly. And when he talks, he knows he
Yeah.
knows he's the man.
Which
Like,
bringing up Pierce
yeah,
Brosnan now though, everybody wants old man Bond. Do you think
yes.
Amazon's gonna
If
listen
you
to the
ask,
fans and be like, Pierce Brosnan back his 70-year-old Bond?
not at 7-year-old Bond. If you tell me he comes back to do an old man Logan version of Pierce of 007 and he dies the way is properly supposed to die,
Mhm.
I'll sign me up. Not no
Okay.
missiles fucking landing on him and the
Okay.
villain throws a poison on him and he knows he can't touch her. Like that shit, it was so corny and stupid. I'm talking about if it's an actual mission that he knows this is a one-way ticket and
Mhm.
he knows this is the way he could save the world and whatever old man version, I'll be on board, but it has to be a really really good storyline.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah,
that's the thing.
yeah, but I
I
think he
put
can pull it off though. I think
yeah,
Pierce Bronson will pull it off.
I think you can pull it off too.
Yeah,
I put together like a list of like potential, like I'm thinking like in the shoes of like Eon here. I'm not thinking in the shoes of Amazon because I
yeah.
know when Amazon's gonna like the writers they're gonna hire are gonna be American that don't know Bond. They're gonna hire some like I don't know.
They they should get the writers of. It's gonna sound weird, but if they could get the writers of Skyfall and mix it with Goldeneye
Is
and
Bruce
write that final and
is Bruce Fierstein still around?
oh, if not, then
I mean,
man,
yeah, I mean
because he knows that.
Neil Purvis and Robert Wade have written the past seven.
Yeah, so like if you could if they could take the guy who wrote Skyfall and
Mhm.
mix it with one of the guys from the Pierce Bronson because he knows that layout of those
Yeah,
films,
yeah.
you could do that. Like I would say yes.
Which is why I think you should bring back Neil Purvis and Robert Wade, despite some of their writing deficiencies, because they took on The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, and then the entire Craig era. I mean, they had co-writers as well, but like they're the ones that know Bond. Like they're going to be gone. They're going to hire some director who doesn't know what the hell he's doing. They're going to hire some like cinematographer who's going to make everything gray sludge. Yeah, so what I was getting at was like the directors. Like, I don't want a director. Like, I get Sam Mendes directed two in a row. That's fine. But if you're going to direct two in a row, make sure your heart and soul's into it. Don't be like, I'm going to
Yeah.
direct a Bond movie and then be like I guess I'll do the next one, but I'm out, like I'll do it, but I'm out, like make sure your heart and soul is into it. I don't want a single director directing five of these in a row. That worked for Bond in the 80s when they were very limited on, crew and all that and who they selected for directors. Like they had a really set I get community of crew, I guess, but like once Barbara Broccoli took over, like Martin Campbell, Roger Spottiswoode, like Michael Apted, Lee Tamahori, Campbell came back again, Sam Mendes, Mark Forrester, Cary Fukunaga. Like it's all different. Like I think you need fresh perspectives on each Bond movie. I don't want a director overseeing 5 Bond movies in a row. I don't think that that's really going to work anymore. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I did put together a list of some directors I would like to see, and I
Mhm.
really hope that they get the chance. But I don't think Amazon's smart enough to, even contact these people. They're going to be like, we're going to get the guy who made the last 11 Gerard Butler action movies to direct. So I already know that's going to happen.
When it comes to directors, this is what I say. If the director fits the world,
Yep.
then sure. If he does 5, he does 5. I don't care. Whatever. If he's like you said, if he's passionate, if he's into it, then yes. What I hate about, and I'm not talking about just 007, I'm talking about in general,
Yeah.
real films and all this stuff in general, and even actors. When the movie is successful, they sign on for the next one, and they're like, I don't know, because of the last one, I was too daunting, and I signed a contract, and I got to continue on with this. And then the movie's ass, and it was like, well,
It's that
because we
whole
had more to do, and the first one we had this, and Daniel Craig is one of those guys too. Because I'm not gonna
right, exactly.
sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig was one of those like he loved the Bonds. Then
Yeah.
he wanted to slit his wrist by the third movie. And he did. It was like, brother, it's either you want to do it, you
Exactly.
don't want to do it. Like, let's get this thing moving. And
Yeah.
I noticed, and it's weird to say, and I noticed with all these 007 movies, all the actors hate the fucking role by the last movie.
Oh yeah.
Roger Moore hated it. Sean Connery hated it. Pierce Brosnan doesn't even want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig doesn't want to talk about it. So there has to be something going on that by the like, don't sign these guys for 5 movies. Get them for 2 movies, get them for 3. If it's a trilogy, like you said, have a 3 trilogy movie and let them go. I think the longer you prolong it with actors and directors, they start to hate the fucking role and they
Yeah.
don't want to do it. They feel like it's a chore by the time it's 5 movies in. And I'm getting sick and tired of it because Bond's 50th or 40th, where half of them were all alive and
Yeah.
they could have been on stage together, all of them mostly opted out because they didn't want to be on stage with each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is not cool. As a Bond fan, I would have loved to see Sean Connery with Pierce Brosnan and Roger Moore on stage laughing it up, doing whatever. We didn't get that because by the time Pierce Brosnan did the 4th one, the Die Another Day, they all hated the damn, like they all didn't want
Yeah.
to be on stage.
And it's like and then you couldn't bring them in for the 50th. I think.
Exactly. Yeah, because they didn't want to be on stage with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how do you have a 50th anniversary of a franchise when none of the actors on stage? Only one, I think Roger Moore came on. I think he was the only one.
I think Craig did too, because
Yeah.
I think Craig was
Yeah.
presenting that year.
Yes, for he came out because he was Casino Royale, I believe. But yeah, you're right. But you didn't get Pierce Brosnan didn't show up. Sean Connery, I believe, was still alive at the time. The late Sean Connery didn't show up. George LeBiz didn't show up. He was still alive. Timothy Dalton didn't show up for nothing. So there has to be something going on here for these characters to not even all gel.
That's why I think they're gonna. That's why I think I have an idea in my mind that I think they're gonna go back to making them more like thrillers rather than straightforward action movies, so they can keep the budget down, so that the stunts aren't as physically demanding. I think the problem with Daniel Craig is that he didn't want a stunt double. He wanted to try and do all the stunts himself. And the reason he was like such like a arrogant asshole is like, oh, he broke his leg on Spectre, and every 5 minutes he had to hear, "Are you coming back for the next one? Are you coming?" He's like, I just need a break. Like, give me my leg is broken. Like, stop asking me. Like I understand it from that. He could have went about it better for sure. But I understand where he's coming from, where it's like, I just filmed one of these and I had a major injury. Like, stop bothering me. But there's definitely ways to go about it more, right? Better, I think. But yeah, I mean, the thing is though with Bond is that Barbara Broccoli's even said this, and it's evident with how they've been casting. I mean, maybe Pierce Brosnan, maybe not so much, but even Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton only did 2 in a 3-year span. They wanted him to come back. They wanted him to come back in 1991. They were going to make a Bond movie called The Property of a Lady, dealing with like robotics and something with the Hong Kong or the handover of Hong Kong by the British to the Chinese or something. But like when Albert R. Broccoli was still alive, he's like, no, you can't come back for one. You have to come back for like for more. And
Mm.
Dalton was like, nope, I'm out. Like I don't want to sink. I want to do one more. Like I don't want to sink my entire life into Bond. Like I think that they're all grateful looking back on it that
Of course.
Bond, but like I mean, look at Daniel Craig. Like he became a huge sensation because of Bond. But like there's I think it just tests their limits sometimes because I think they're just throwing themselves at the stunts too much. They're trying to do as much as they can, and then they just get hurt, and they're like, ah, man, these like it's like I understand it from that perspective, but if you have a stunt double and you're not doing the stunts and you're just saying, oh, this is too physical, then I have a problem with it. Be like, no, like grow a pair, like do your own stunts. Um,
No, I understand what you're saying, but then
yeah,
it also comes with the property, right? You
yeah,
were a nobody.
yeah,
You now become a somebody, and
yeah.
it's like now that you become famous, it's like, oh,
And
I
now
don't
you're
want to
running your
do this
mouth
no more.
off.
Yes, so like that's my problem. I
Yeah,
don't mind the whole double. Like, if you want to double, we have great technology now that could put someone's face on your face. Like, I'm
yeah,
okay with it. You're not Tom Cruise. Nobody here is Tom Cruise, right? Like, he's the only one that can fly fucking F-16s and fly helicopters and do all this stuff. I totally understand it and I totally get it. But you cannot tell me that 4 films in, you already know what you're getting yourself into. By the
yeah,
second movie, you should already know.
yeah.
Actually, by the
It's
third movie, you should know what you're getting yourself
well,
into.
well, that's
Like,
the thing, and that's the thing too that Barbara Broccoli says. She's like, we need somebody who can hold this for at least a decade, that knows what they're getting into. Like becoming James Bond as an actor, you have to know what you're getting into. Like you have to know the commitment. Like you're gonna have to turn down other movie projects because you're filming a Bond movie. But is that going to be different now under Amazon? That's
well, I mean, I think it will be because I think they're gonna go lean. I think they heavily gonna lean on TV series.
I think they
I
are too.
think so
I that's
because
my worry.
I
I
agree with you. I think they're gonna do that. But in terms of like, I don't know, man. Like, honestly, I just feel like where these actors and directors and all that, like, who could be like, you have tons of great, right? You have Peter Berg, I think his name is great.
yeah,
He's a great action director. You could have him play. No, not big name. Everyone knows him, but he did great. Like,
yeah.
he did good movies. Anthony Fuqua, he did the Equalizers. You could
Mhm.
have him do some Bond movies. I know everybody and their mother wants Christopher fucking Nolan, but I'm
I
like,
don't want
listen,
Christopher Nolan.
all his movies look the same. Like, they're amazing, but the movies all look the same. And we
He's
already
made a
got
Bond movie like 5 times already.
yeah, and we got a movie already that looked like it was filmed by Christopher Nolan, which is called Skyfall. Like, what difference can he's gonna bring
And,
that is gonna look
the
like?
only thing Christopher like everybody wants Christopher Nolan. The only thing Christopher Nolan would do is be like he get full creative control, which I'd be fine with. Like I think you should give
Yeah,
directors creative control,
of course.
but he'd be like, "Oh nope, there's gonna be some third act twist that like I'm gonna try and cover up that wink wink you won't see coming." But in reality, we really like Interstellar. I knew that fifth dimension thing from the beginning. I guessed that right off the bat. I'm like, it's Murph from like the fifth dimension or something or the future, and it was. In like Tenet, I'm like, oh yeah, like I guess I get. That's the thing. I can guess all the twists in Christopher Nolan's action movies. Like
Yeah.
that's why I don't want him directing a Bond movie. I did put together a list of some people that I
What
would
you got?
like.
What you got?
I would bring Martin Campbell back for
Oh, for the first one.
for the
Yeah.
first one
Mhm.
because he directed GoldenEye, which was Brosnan's first one. He directed Casino Royale, which
Yep.
was Craig's first one. This guy knows Bond. He knows how to launch a Bond actor and make the Bond actor successful. Um, these are gonna sound so out of the blue, but Edward Berger or Berger, who
Okay.
directed All Quiet on the Western Front for Netflix a couple years ago and
Mm.
Conclave, his name came up recently, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of a different creative swing. I think that could work.
Mm.
His like these the types of people I think could what in their mind would make a Bond film. Coralie Fargeau, who she directed Revenge in the Substance. I think she would make a zany, insane Bond film. Um, a Polish director named Jan Kamasa. I think he'd be really good. Antonio Campos. I don't know if you saw that Netflix movie with Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, where Robert Pattinson's like the evil priest. And
No, I didn't see
yeah,
that one. No.
yeah, that one's he would be if they're gonna keep Bond gritty, he'd be really good with the gritty stuff.
Mm.
Another name that's popped up is Jan Demange, who was in the running for No Time to Die, and then was the replacements for the original director on Blade, but has now been replaced by another replacement because Blade's not getting made. Celine Sciamma, who has made a couple of French foreign films, and then the director of The Old Guard, Gina Prince Bythewood,
That would be
I
a good
think would
one.
be really good.
Yeah.
Like she would be good at handling action. Like I think that those are the types of names that like EON would probably go. I don't think they would go like super mainstream. Like you could bring in American directors, like Cary Fukunaga was an American director, but I don't
Yeah.
think they're gonna go. They're not gonna bring in like fucking Steven Spielberg, or they're not gonna bring in Colin Trevorrow. Thank God.
Yeah, like the high end character. It's funny. They just need directors that fit the genre
Yeah,
world.
or like, or you need like a director who's like, okay, like what is your viewpoint of a Bond film? And that's just like because a lot of these directors grow up watching these movies.
Yeah.
Like Sam Mendes essentially put everything he wanted to put, everything he knew about Bond, his understanding of Bond, everything he wanted to put in 007, he put in Skyfall, and then he just came back for Spectre because they're like, dude, like that made $1 billion. Can you just make this, please? And he's like, fine. He didn't want to make it, but he made it, and you could tell he didn't want to make it.
Yeah, you could you could
like,
literally see.
Yeah, but it's like the same thing with the director of Quantum of Solace. It sucked, but Mark Forster, like he wasn't a big fan of the series, but he directed a Bond movie. It's like, okay, here's my viewpoint of Bond. Like, I don't think you necessarily need like an action background or even like a Bond background. It could just be like, okay, like this is the history of Bond. This is how I see it. This is gonna be how I make the movie.
Yeah, but we don't live in a generation that the directors bring their style to the franchise.
That is true.
And
that is true.
And let's just say it like it is. What movie that you could literally say, or franchise that they went, okay, we're gonna sign you, but you're gonna do it the way we want you to film the movies. Like that's what I feel like, and that's the problem I always had with like DC or the Marvel movies, because you got these good directors or great directors, and it's like, wait a minute, that's not even their style.
Yeah.
Like this looks exactly like the last guy that did it.
Right. Like occasionally you might get something that's their style, like Multiverse of Madness, despite the mixed reception it's gotten. Like that's distinctly a Sam Raimi directed movie. Like, you can tell.
Right. Yeah, like if you even look at Phase 1, each of the directors, each movie looks different, right? From the Thor number one.
Yeah, now like the Quantum Realm and Quantumania looks the same as like a planet of Guardians of the Galaxy or something. So,
So that's the problem that I have. It's like, let the directors do their job. Like, give them the writers, like if the writing is all the same, great. But have a director that's gonna go 3 movies, but let it be 3 movies of his vision. Like, what does he think the color palettes are going to be? Where does he want to shoot this? If it's going to be on location, in Pine Woods, whatever. But I feel like we're now. I don't know if they're going to even give any of these guys.
It's really just going to be an algorithmic thing now, because they're just going to do what Jeff Bezos did. They're just going to crowdsource, like, who do you want to direct? Who do you want to be the next Bond? Who do you want to cast? That's all it's going to be. It's just going to be crowdsourcing, which is, and like, again, nothing against Henry Cavill, but that's also a reason I don't want Henry Cavill, because it's going to be a fan cast.
Well, but fan casts are not bad.
No, some of them are good. Some of them are good, but at the same time, I want it to be like a surprise. I want it to be like kind of like an out there type of, like somebody like nobody's thinking of.
I agree with you. I mean, but I think Amazon also is thinking about, okay, we got to make back the $8 billion that we purchased for the rights. So, like, I totally understand the whole fan thing. My thing is, you can't go fans for everything.
Exactly.
Because, like, if you want it for Bond, I'm on board. If I think I saw, for the last time I saw, it was like 80% was Henry Cavill and blew everybody else out the water in terms of the thing. So then fine. If that's what the people want, give it to them. But don't bitch, and I'm talking about the audience. Don't bitch when he has a horrible script, and then you start taking it on a Henry Cavill.
Yeah, it's not his fault.
Because it's not his fault. Because we've seen tons of projects that he did, and it's like, it's his fault. Man of Steel is his fault. No, it's not. Dawn of Justice is his fault. No, it's not.
It's like they just had terrible scripts.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, it's like, it comes down to the script writers. Let Amazon do this stuff. That's what I say. If you want a fan source, fine. I hate when they throw all this stuff in the movie. Like, I hated, oh my God, which is the one that they started showing mad Easter eggs of 007 stuff in the movie? Was it No, not Spectre. Was it Quantum?
Die Another Day.
No, it was the one that they went to the desert. It was Quantum inside, right? When they
like with the girl covered in oil.
Yes. Right.
Yeah,
And then the car that picked him up was the car in Blow. It was the Goldfinger's car from the 1974 when they picked him up in the desert. Remember,
yeah,
they drove him to the thing. Like, I don't want none of that shit.
yeah,
Like, I hate Easter. Like, I like Easter eggs here and there, but for Bond movies, it's like Star Wars when they have to cram every nostalgia thing here. And it's
yeah.
like, no, like, let it be fucking natural. He walks into an office, but something in the office had to be something from the original. Like, I would like that. That would be pretty
Like
cool, but
like
not
for
everything.
like for instance, Skyfall. Like he goes up, gives the shrapnel to Tanner, and says, "For her eyes only." Like that's a cool little reference.
Yes,
And then
that was dope.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then No Time to Die. You have the painting of Judi Dench in the background in one scene, and you have the Robert Brown M in one scene. It's like those are nice little touches. Like Skyfall did it well. Die Another Day did it horribly, where it's like, here's your watch, Bond. I think this is your 20th.
Yeah,
Wink,
wink,
wink.
wink. Yeah, I totally agree. And that's the thing. Like, even like we never got to see the DB5 in the Casino Royale, right? Like, we didn't see in the Casino Royale. He had the new Aston Martin DB10 or whatever
But
it
he
was,
got the
right?
DB5
Yeah,
original.
but he got it in.
He won the poker game against Demetrios.
Yes, but it wasn't that car. It wasn't the
Right.
Sean Connery car. He won it as that's the Easter egg that everyone was like, yeah. But
Yeah.
when the Skyfall, when he goes, we got to change cars with M, and the music, the original music kicked in. You saw the Sean Connery DB5 car there because they had the gadgets.
Yeah,
When he
I've
got
always
in.
see this is well, this was before Spectre and No Time to Die came out. I
Yeah.
always assumed that like, okay, like Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace were like the beginning of Bond, and then Doctor No to Die Another Day just happened in between. So I was like, okay, so he's got the he just tricked out the car like they did in Goldfinger or something.
Well, see, my belief is that the old car that he won in the Casino Royale,
Mm-hmm.
Q put all those gadgets in.
Oh yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
think it's like the one from like again. I don't think. I think that Bond is that universe's Bond.
Yeah,
So that car was being made. That's why it was in the
yeah,
garage. It was his personal car, and I was
yeah.
just like, okay, because he did win it in the thing. Fine. GoldenEye, when
Mm-hmm.
Pierce Brosnan is driving the DB5 in the first scene with the girl,
Mm-hmm.
and they said that is the Sean Connery car because it
Yeah,
already had all the gadgets inside. So
yeah.
he is that Bond. Like that continued that Bond.
Well, yeah,
So
all those like the like Connery, Lazenby, um, Roger Moore, Dalton, Brosnan, like it's established that that's all the same guy,
yes.
despite there being like 40 years between them all.
Yeah.
And then Daniel Craig was his own separate thing, which is fine. Like you have
Yeah.
Daniel Craig in this own little bubble, but
Now, would
but
you do a 007 movie that connects to Die Another Day and continues that storyline?
I don't.
Because remember, you just said it, it's a different universe. So
It
that you
is.
don't
It
have
is.
to. So
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean,
technically,
you
that
could.
Bond didn't die. So
You could. I mean, you could. It would be kind of weird though for people being like, "Oh, like why is he just around?" Like
yeah.
because that's what Amazon's gonna do. They're gonna be like, "Well, we have to like it's gonna be a reboot. It was gonna be a reboot no matter what under Broccoli and Wilson
No,
and
it is.
yeah. But everybody was gonna. But what I'm saying is that Amazon's gonna be like, "Well, we have to explain like." How he becomes it's like we already saw that. Like you could just you can have like a brief like scene or something where it's I don't know, like I can't explain it honestly, but
I would
like I think you know
maybe.
what I'm getting at.
I understand what you're saying. I would honestly pick a generational thing, one of the eras,
Mhm.
and continue it from that era.
Do you
Whatever
want
they want, whether it's the Pierce Bronson era and they want to continue that storyline with the Chang and well, all that crap, they could do that, or they could do the Roger Moores and tie it to that original Spectre and Blofeld, and not do a modernized version that it continues that
do
storyline.
you want to do you want to see the film franchise eventually like have bring the settings of the movies back to the 60s? Like bring it back to the Cold War.
I'm gonna be honest with you. What more stories can they do now that it was gonna feel the same?
Yeah.
Modern technology, drones, cameras that can see your
It
face
really
from
does.
all over the
Yeah,
world.
I guess for me, it really depends on like what is the world afraid of. Like that's how they approached every Bond movie. They're like, what is Bond afraid of? What is the world afraid of? That's why we got like global surveillance in Spectre. We got natural resources in Quantum. Like we got
Yeah.
terrorism in Casino Royale. Like cyber terrorism in Skyfall. Like Amazon's not going to ask those questions anymore.
No, I don't think so, but I think it'll be easier to do older stuff because there's so much you can do with
Yeah.
older storylines. Where newer, I mean, how much more are they gonna find a
The problem,
database that could
the
really
problem,
be?
the problem I have with like doing the older stuff though is that like when you look at Bond, at least in my eyes, the movies are a time capsule. They're like products of their time. So they're
Yeah.
always saying something about the year or the time period that they're released. So I don't to me I don't think it would be wise to go bring it back to the 60s and make it Cold War again. But
No, but you could do something that it's along the lines of that in modern. Like
yeah, if
again,
there's
like
like an idea like if somebody's like I'm going to bring like a Cold War ideology back because we're afraid that that's yeah, then by all means and set it in modern times then yeah, sure, go ahead.
because I feel like if they remember that box that they were after, was it Roger Moore that it could read like it has all the nuclear numbers and it broke up it destroyed it when he was skiing. Remember that Russian guy? He wanted that stupid box. It was like the
Yeah,
whole movie was on it.
was that for your eyes only because
I think it's for your eyes only. I think
I
it's
don't
that
remember
one.
a single thing about the plot of For Your Eyes
Yeah,
Only
I
other than the action scenes.
yeah, I think they're after this box that it shuffles like nuclear codes or
Yeah, it's
something.
like the ATAC or something, right?
Yes. Yeah, you could do something like that as modern.
Oh
They stole whatever. I
yeah,
just feel like every movie that we're seeing now has to have like the God's eye. You can find this guy from anywhere, and Bond now has to code that. And I'm like,
And Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson steer clear from that, and Amazon won't
ugh.
because it's like I'm saying, it's gonna be an algorithm. Every Bond movie they make is gonna feel like every shitty Netflix action movie that's been made in the past 5 years. They're all the same. They're
Yeah.
all the same goddamn thing. And they're gonna have like that one guy that's gonna be like, I'm on your side, but I'm really a double agent. You're gonna have to kill me. Or it's like you're gonna get like, they're gonna try and hide the bad guy on us. I know that.
Which I don't mind if he's like the new spec. Like again, if you're gonna do a modern version,
Mm-hmm.
do a modern version and make it fun. Like, Mission Impossible when they had the syndicate, that shit was dope. Rogue
Yeah,
Nation, you're like, holy cow, what? These guys could be infiltrated anywhere. You could
that's
do
why.
something similar,
That's
but they
why.
tried it and it did not work with the
That's that.
Spectre.
That's why.
Ugh.
That's why I think that they could. That's why I think it would be interesting. I think to adapt some of the books that weren't written by Ian Fleming that were the continuation
Yes.
novels by Raymond Benson and Anthony Hortz because there are like they do introduce like new crime syndicates like that rival Spectre. That'd be like that'd be interesting.
And that's why Jack Reacher works. See,
Mm-hmm.
I read the first two books of Jack Reacher. And
Mm-hmm.
when I saw the first season, and I was sitting there going, oh, this is going to happen. And my wife was like, how the hell do you know? I was like, because they're going frame by frame from the book. Like, it wasn't,
Yeah,
nobody
I'm
knew
not picturing like Tom Cruise in these.
yeah. Like, literally, he is Jack Reacher. Like, if you read
That
the
was
book, he is spot
that
on
was
what
my
he is in the
that
book.
was my problem with the movies. I'm like, I don't picture Tom Cruise as like the
No,
big muscular guy that he's supposed to be in the books.
but you needed a face for
Yeah,
the theater. So
yeah.
I totally understand it. And I like Tom Cruise's Jack Reacher. I thought it was cool, it was
Mm.
unique, whatever. But in reality, this dude is Jack Reacher. The book. So, like, if you want to do a 007 novels or even comic books and you want to bring it to life,
Mhm.
why not? I even said the same shit with DC and Marvel characters. Like, I mean, DC
Yeah.
and Marvel, like, you guys got great storyline comics. Like, how can you fuck these things up in movie
Oh,
form?
I know.
Like, I never understood it. But I think Jack Ryan and Jack Reacher, they figured it out because those things are dope. And now we're getting a Jack Ryan movie. And now I'm actually looking forward to the movie because I'm like, this might
Is
open
it
up.
gonna be John
It's
Krasinski
Amazon
playing
Prime.
him in the movie?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He signed
nice.
on and they
Nice.
started filming. My only thing is because rumors are is that he's gonna introduce Rainbow Six, the guys from the video games.
Because you know
And
what
I'm like,
you know what they're gonna do? Do you remember that Michael B. Jordan movie Without Remorse from a few years ago?
yeah, he's the one of the
He,
characters. Yeah.
he's the remember Willem Dafoe's character from Clear and Present Danger?
Yes, that's
That's him.
him.
That's Michael B.
Yes.
Jordan. Yeah, so I think the sequel to Without Remorse is gonna be Rainbow Six.
Right. So then it's like, and now that's how you span the world. Because Jack Ryan is in the Tom Clancy books. And now you got the Rainbow Six, you got the Call of Duties. I mean, you got so much stuff that
Yeah.
Amazon can have fun with. So again, they're doing it right. Jack Reacher is doing it right because this is one season a book, and I'm like, that's dope.
Yeah.
007 is very interesting for me because, like I said, I don't know where they're gonna go, and I hope
Yeah.
they pick the right choice. And it's
Same.
not a money thirsty thing because, like I said, Star
Same.
Wars just tanked. I don't watch no more Star Wars. I haven't seen nothing Star Wars because I don't
That,
like.
that's the that's what I'm worried about with 007. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna throw so much out there every year. It's gonna dilute the brand. It's gonna make people tired of the brand. Like yeah, I haven't seen Skeleton Crew. I
Yeah.
haven't even watched Andor. I
Nope.
stopped halfway through the third season of Mandalorian because I got bored. Like
That one, did I finish that one? Yeah, I did. I think that was okay. I was like,
yeah, like
it went
I mean,
the
at this
opposite.
point with Star Wars, I'm just here for the movies.
Yeah,
I don't
but
care. I don't
even
really
that
care
is
about
like,
the TV shows.
yeah, and even that, when we gonna get another one of these movies? Because every time they introduce a movie, the fans revoke and then they stop it. So it's like,
Yeah,
okay, now you're listening to the fans, and you're never gonna
or
review.
there's just so many creative differences where they just have to start from
Yeah,
scratch again.
yeah. So
Um,
that's how I feel like these movies are coming down the line, and I'm happy. Look, again, look, I'll say this right now.
mhm,
I'm not a fan of James Gunn. I didn't watch
mhm,
Peacemaker because I don't like Suicide Squad. So I was like, I
mhm,
don't need to see, and I don't like John Cena.
mhm.
When I heard he was head, I was like, oh, I'm never watching a DC property because I just feel like whatever. But what I give
Right.
him a lot of credits is that he is postponing and stretching it out. Like
Yeah.
he's not throwing every project at everybody going, this is
Right.
the new vision. He's letting Matt Reeves do the Batman in his own world.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank God.
So far, so far.
Yeah, so far, right? And now he came out and he said that is not the DC, the DC Batman. Like that is his own,
Yeah.
Elseworld Batman. And I was like, all right, that's cool. I didn't see the cartoons because I'm not big into animation, so I didn't see that creative whatever. And my friends were like, "That was a really good cartoon." The
Mhm.
one that came out under James Gunn.
Yeah.
So I was
Creature
like,
Commandos.
"Yeah." He was. They were like, "It's dope. It was really cool. You might enjoy it." But I was like, "Ah." But Superman for me is the one that I want to see because Superman, money wise, never generated profit at
Mhm.
all. And everyone screams about Christopher Reeves doing, oh, he's the best. He is the best, but not even him. The box office were high.
Yeah.
Man of Steel wasn't high. Even their first films wasn't even high. Their sequels wasn't even high. So my thing is, how does the audience take this new Man of Steel? Is it because honestly, they just threw too much characters. I saw the trailer and I was like, this is not selling me because half of these characters were not even together,
Yeah.
but they're doing all this stuff. So that's how I feel with Bond.
Okay.
It's like, are you going to listen to the fans? Are you going to do your own stuff? Or are you gonna be a product,
There's
a product thing that you just every show has a like
yeah.
Heineken
Yeah.
or whatever. So like that's my only thing.
There's gotta be somebody. I mean, because MGM is part of Amazon now too. There's gotta be somebody that they can put in charge of the Bond franchise who's like, listen, this is a 60-year legacy, 60 plus year legacy, run by a family who took it one movie at a time. Like, let's just see how it goes. Let's take it one movie at a time. Let's try and make the best product possible. If we want to do a TV series on some other idea, we can. Let's try not to tie the TV series and movies together, though. That way, we're not confusing audiences. That way, you don't have like a young Bond in one show and then an old Bond in another show or another movie or something. And it'd be like, how do we get from A to H? Um, but I feel like there should be somebody in charge of that, but there's not going to.
Well, they don't see that's the thing because if they wrote these guys out, they don't want no one in charge.
But
That's what it is.
despite this deal being announced, we don't know. Like they can't say any. The deal got announced that like, hey, we're getting creative control from the Broccoli family, but it's actually not going through until May. So we're not going to hear anything about it until probably May or after. Like the
Yeah,
entire transaction is done in May. So that's probably when they're going to get the gears turning on the next Bond. Like, here's the thing: as worried as I am about this, because I'm going to try and wrap this up. We only got 10 minutes left.
hmm
I don't want to wait again.
no.
um,
I get it.
yeah. As worried as I am, as skeptical as I am, like I knew it was probably going to be a while, anyways, with Barbara Broccoli in charge, that we were going to get another Bond because she wanted to do her other projects too, and completely fair. Like she needed. I think they needed a break. I don't think she wants to produce without Michael G. Wilson, even though I think they were grooming his son. I don't think her and Michael G. Wilson's son saw eye to eye. He was on the side of Amazon. I don't think she really liked that. So she was like, "All right, here, you guys, we're gonna keep fighting. Take it. Like there's nothing I can do. You're not gonna agree with me. I know how this is done, but you clearly don't see it that way. Give me a massive payout." So they paid her $1 billion to go away. Um, despite all that, I am just I am a little excited that we are going to get the wheels turning now. Like that we're actually going to have some Bond content coming. Maybe some announcements this year, it sounds like, if once this deal goes through in May, even though it's already been announced. Then we can maybe reserve judgment once they start announcing stuff. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, it depends on the finished product. Like we could say the most insane, batshit crazy stuff because we all thought Daniel Craig was gonna suck, and
Yeah.
then look at Casino Royale. We all thought Casino Royale was gonna suck, and it was one of the best Bond movies to many, the best one. And
But again, you just said it, but it comes down to script,
it does,
right? Because like all my friends are like, "Oh, this guy's the best.
yeah,
This guy's the best," and I'm like, "Yes, but this guy is the worst." I'm like, "But you can't do this because it's not fair to those actors.
yeah,
Those actors were in the inserted
exactly,
in the generations that they
exactly,
were from,
like
and the scripts are from the generations they're
exactly,
from."
and
Daniel Craig benefited from writing CGI, scenery,
yeah.
cars,
And plus two,
everything.
and plus two,
Yeah,
when he was getting flack for being the first blonde Bond, which was untrue by the way, because Roger Moore had shades of blonde in him as
yeah,
well.
he did. Yeah,
Like we didn't know what the script was. We didn't know that the script was going to be stripped away of all the Bond gadgets. We didn't know that there was going to be no money penny. We didn't know there was going to be no Q. Like we were just basing the fact that he was bad on the fact that he was blonde.
yeah, but the thing is, it's just like it comes to script. If they have people that write good scripts, then the project and the movie will be good. At
Yeah,
the end of the day, we could bitch and scream of what we think of the actor portraying them,
right,
but at the end of the day,
right,
is the source that it's coming from,
right.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm happy that if this deal does go through, whatever, I just want more video games of 007. Like, I'm backtracking to playing all these old ones, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
I was
fine.
trying. I was trying to watch your Tomorrow Never because I missed the live stream, but I know that the live stream
Yeah.
goes up. I couldn't find the first part. I got to the second part where he started playing his Wei Lin. I couldn't find the first part.
Oh, the first part is on a other channel. Like, I finished it on the
Oh,
main
okay,
channel because
okay,
Nate wanted me to bring the video games to the Geeks and Flix channel. Like, I
okay,
opened up a gaming channel and he was like, "No, but just bring it here and just play
okay,
there because it's under Geeks." And I was like, "Whatever." So I
okay,
finished it under our YouTube channel, and now
okay.
I'm gonna start The World Is Not Enough because that's the next one on the thing. So it's mad funny. But
Yeah,
in terms of the video, like, we're getting a video game from the creators of Hitman
is that still going to be a
007.
thing now though?
Yes, it's still under. They still working on it, and
Yeah,
they put a thing on
because
Twitter saying we're still doing it. So I was like,
okay,
thank God.
because my whole thing was thinking it was like that was a deal with EON. So I was like, now that EON doesn't have creative control, is Amazon going to scrap that? But I guess
No,
not.
no, 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 no. It's under. It's still under. I think they signed the contract. I mean, there's no way
Yeah,
is gonna.
but that's
Yeah,
another thing too. Is it's like you're gonna have the video games, TV shows, and movies going at the same time. It's gonna be in books because they're still writing Bond books. Like it. That's what I'm worried. My big fear is that it's just gonna be too much.
they should do this. I mean, this would be me. It'll be fun doing this. Do the movies James Bond and do James Bond Jr. Like, that has never been done. Have
Yeah.
fun with it. A younger James Bond that could look like Pierce Bond. I don't care what he looks like, blue eyes, whatever. But
Mhm.
it's a younger version of it, and it'll be really hip because then everyone like in our generation or someone younger would be like, "Wow, this Bond dude is, he's young, he gets in trouble, whatever." And
Yeah.
I think it would be fun that way to have a TV show that's just James Bond Jr. and then you have the movies that is his dad, and then you good. Because I know a
That
lot of
could
people
work.
want the female Bond, which
No, I don't think it should be gender swap. I'm
I don't like that whole
if they're
gender
if they're
thing,
gonna
but
race swap it, that's fine because Broccoli was open to that idea and everybody
I
loved
didn't care for
Idris Elba
that.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wasn't too crazy
but
with
yeah,
that,
no,
but
I like the whole point is you got to create female characters that are like original and great. Like, don't gender swap.
it's funny, I don't know if you knew this, but Angelina Jolie turned down 007.
Did she?
Yes, they had her as a Bond girl. She was gonna be a Bond girl, and she
Oh
said
yeah, I think I
no.
remember that.
She said no. She said no. She goes, "I don't wanna be a Bond girl," but she goes, "If you write me a movie like Bond, I would do it," and that's how Salt came about.
Ah, okay.
So Salt, if you see Salt is a little 007, but he's a
Yeah,
female. But the thing is, Tom Cruise was linked to be Salt,
yeah,
and he
and
dropped out of it.
then they switched it.
And they switched it to Angela when she said no to the 007, and she goes, "I will do a movie like 007 that's a female," and they came up with Salt. That was a big hit. They never
Yeah.
did a sequel
Yeah.
because she said that there's no good story. So she looked like she's one of those hard to work with people.
Oh,
So
she definitely is.
yes, but
Yeah.
she would have been a gorgeous Bond girl.
She would have been, especially in the 90s. Oh
In
yeah.
the
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
god, that would have been awesome. But yeah, but I agree. My thing, like I said, am I mad? Yes, but I'm gonna hold judgment until I see
Exactly.
everything unfold in front of me, and
That's
then I'll say
yeah.
yes or
That's the
no.
thing. We got to
But
see everything unfold in front of us first, see what they assemble for directors, cast, crew, all that stuff. I'm going to wrap it up here because I think we've
mhm.
talked a lot about it. And I think we all both made some really good points. Final question I have for you, though, not related to Amazon or any of this stuff.
Sure.
I just need some validation because my cousin and I go back and forth on this all the time. Which movie
Good.
do you prefer? Tomorrow Never Dies or The World Is Not Enough?
Ooh, you know what's funny? The World's Not Enough is underrated. It's an underrated
Okay.
film. It's a
Okay. I
very
like where this is
underrated
going.
because if you look at a lot of people, like if you ask a lot of people about World's Not Enough, they'll say it's boring, it's not good, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
My partner Nate, when we did all the 007s, he
Mhm.
was shocked because
How good it was?
he did not like it. And when he rewatched it,
Oh,
he was
he
like, "Yo,
did.
this movie is really good."
Yeah.
Because you had the boat scene. He loved the boat scene. He said it's the top boat scene in the action movie is
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Which I agree. I haven't seen a good boat chase since that
Yeah.
movie. But
Yeah.
anyway, The World Is Not Enough is one of my favorite number one movies because I love the
It's
racing.
one of my favorites too.
Yeah, I love the remote car. I don't know why I'm a sucker for the
Oh no, that's
car.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Which one did you say?
I said, which one do you prefer? I prefer World's Not Enough over Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never. Yeah, yeah, that's the remote control car when he's in the back seat
Oh yeah,
and
I
he's
thought you were still talking
driving.
World's Not Enough for a minute.
No. That one he had the BMW. I remember that one. He had the BMW he gave to Wade. That one we didn't see much. Okay, so that's a good one. If I had to go with it, I think I would go World's Not Enough.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think I would go with World because I think
Yes.
it has a formidable villain with the guy with that he can't feel nothing because he has a bullet hole in his neck.
Yeah.
Then you have a good twist at the girl that turned on M.
Yep.
So that was a good twist. You got the boat scene.
Yep.
Good ending. I thought it was a good ending. Tomorrow Never Dies. You had Wei Lin, but I wanted more Wei Lin.
I think Tomorrow Never Dies is kind of boring. Like,
It's a little. It's a little
just
bit
action overload.
Yes, and the villain is not as memorable because he sucks because everyone else is doing his stuff.
Yeah.
Anthony Carver is again, what are we talking about? He's a technology media guy. Like,
Yeah.
what can you do with it? Like, again, he was just there doing this. He was like, "What is gonna be your obituary,
Hey,
Mr. Bond?"
you are now my new co-host for anything Bond. Hats off. They suck it, Pat. All right.
Yeah, if you ask me, I'm a sucker. I will always watch Tomorrow Never Dies. But if you're asking me a better movie,
Yeah.
The World's Not Enough.
Oh,
And
for
the
sure.
scene that he's holding on to the thing and the explosions is going
Yeah,
off in the world, that is
awesome.
badass.
Yeah.
But the girl sucks though.
Yeah, she does.
That's where I would
I
say
agree.
the girl stinks. Waylon was better, but overall, World's Not Enough.
I agree. All right, we got to wrap it up.
Yes, let's wrap it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming on, Alex. Nice to see you. I'll
Yeah.
leave his channel in the description below. You guys are the best. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. Check out his channel when you get a minute. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. Thanks for coming on again.
Alrighty.
Been a while. We'll have you back on soon. We'll see
All
you
right.
guys later.